Hey guys, welcome. I know you just finished your wins. Congratulations on that. Having wins is an amazing part of life, and sometimes we get so overwhelmed and discouraged with what we consider our losses that we just refuse to celebrate our wins. I refuse. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it because that's not reality. The reality is I had a lot of losses too. Well, yes, you did. That's quite possible. But you also had wins, and those are also a reality. So if you're going to acknowledge your losses, I encourage you to also start acknowledging your wins, because if you don't, you won't be living in reality. You'll just be living in misery, because your wins are part of your reality. And I encourage you to take time to actually think about those. Today we're talking about being in love with the law. Being in love with the law. A lot of us don't want law. We just want freedom. Give me freedom. Let me do what I want to do. I don't want any laws, rules, anything holding me down. I just want to be free. But you know, there's a reason to actually love the law. To love order, structure, boundaries. There's a reason to love it. Here, David, a man after God's own heart, talks about it in Psalms 119. He says, "Oh, how I love your law." Oh, what a romantic thing to say. I love the law. I'd meditate on it all day long. He's just thinking about those laws, thinking about those rules, thinking about that structure. Oh, I love it. Are you like that? Chances are, if you're at a recovery group, you probably don't love the law that much. You probably like to break some rules. You like to do things your own way. You like to make decisions that aren't necessarily beneficial to you or to other people, but they're the ones that you want to make. That's kind of what gets us into trouble sometimes. But David loves the law. He says, "Your commands are always with me, and they make me wiser than my enemies. I have more insight than all of my teachers, for I meditate on your statutes. I have more understanding than the elders, for I obey your precepts. I have kept my feet from every evil path so that I might obey your word." David's saying, man, this is making me so much wiser and smarter and greater than even all these other people that are talking. Why? Because I just meditate on your law. I think about how you said to do things, and I'm trying to do those, and they're enriching my life and enriching my mind and enriching my heart. And this is where David's at. He's experiencing the goodness of God that's happening in his life by these things. He says, "I've kept my feet from every evil path, so that I might obey your word. I have not departed from your laws, for you yourself have taught me. How sweet are your words to my taste, sweeter than honey to my mouth." He said, "I gain understanding from your precepts, therefore I hate every wrong path." So God has taught him something through the law that keeps him from doing evil, keeps him in the path of doing good, and his whole life is being enriched. And David is saying, I love this. I love the process here. Psalms 37:4, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And, you know, the thought here is that we live in a deconstructionist culture. What does that mean? It means that they want to deconstruct everything. We shouldn't have this law or this rule. It's oppressive. If you do this, it's because someone before you made an oppressive law, an oppressive rule, and everybody has just followed it since then. And it's really all just there to keep you down. It's made by somebody in power just to keep you down. And so that's why we don't like laws or rules. They're all about controlling. The elites controlling all the non-elites. All of the race of this type controlling the race of that type. All the gender of this type controlling the gender of that type. It's just this whole view that any structure, any law, any rule is there to hold you down. In fact, in Washington State right now, they're actually trying to change, in some classes I believe they already have, changed math because they want to reinvent math, because math as we currently know it, the claim is a racist construct. 2 plus 2 is 4 is somehow a racial inequality. Everything they can do to try to break down structure, that's what our culture is about right now. We don't want any laws, any rules. Everything is oppressive. And so that is where we are at. But the Bible teaches that laws and structure are good. And I want to look at some practical things that actually point to that being true. Look at all these things on your list that require laws. Cosmology, the study of the cosmos, require laws. There's laws of gravity, and there's all these laws of inertia. There's all these different things going on. E equals mc squared. I mean, there's these laws that allow us to see and to understand cosmology. Biology is another one. There's laws to biology. There's rules and structure of the way that they work, that our bodies work. You know, if you want to get pregnant, that doesn't happen because you just held hands. Well, why? Because there's structure, there's rules, there's laws of how that happens. It takes more than just holding hands. What if that wasn't true? What if we had no idea how this happens? You could be in the room with somebody and you're pregnant, or you hold a hand and you're pregnant, or we shared a bag of chips and all of a sudden I'm pregnant. Without a law, it'd be extremely hard to even understand how to relate to one another, without a structure, without a way of things working, without the law of gravity. Like knowing, the law says that we know how it works. I know that if I go off of an edge, I'm going to fall to the ground. I know that's a law. What if there wasn't a law? What if it was just random? I don't know. I could be walking along the ground and I'm going to suddenly float up. I could walk off a building and I'll either fall down or float up. I don't know. Because there's no law, there's no structure. Anything could happen at any time. Imagine what it would be like to live in a society, a world, a culture, a universe with no law and no structure. Literally everything is random. Anything can happen at any time. Well, first of all, we wouldn't be here. But even if we were, we would have no idea how to plan. No idea how to live. No idea how to grow crops or food because it's all random. There's no law. If I sow the seed, then this vegetable is going to come out. Well, that's not true because it's random. There is no law. There is no structure. So you see, the benefit of law and structure applies to every area of our life. Here's some other ones. Sexuality, language. Language is a law. You may not realize that, but it's a law. When you went through school and you learned to read, there's a law there. There's a rule. There's a structure. A grammar structure, a grammar rule. Like this is how vowels work. This is how consonants work. This is how we read. And because we have laws and structure and rules around reading, a law of how it works, now we can write something down and someone can come in another time, another place, and walk into that room and they can read and go, oh, this is what they said. Why? Because there was a structure around language. There was a law around language and how that language works. The same with arts and sports. You ever played a sport and what if there was no rules, no laws, no structure? Hey, we're playing basketball. And you jump into the court and you start driving down with the ball and you're like, I got 1 point, I got 2 points. Oh, I just got 4 points. So like, how are you getting points? I'm giving them to myself. Well, no, there's actually a structure and a law to playing basketball. I have to throw this little round ball through that hoop. Then I get points. Not only that, but I have to throw it through my hoop, not your hoop. And if I throw it through my hoop, I get points. Well, see, now we have a game because there's a rule, there's a law, there's a structure. And so these things give us hope of knowing what to do and knowing how to win, knowing how to move forward, and they make everything enjoyable for everybody if we use them correctly. Cooking has laws. That's how you know to cook a chicken to a certain degree so that you don't get poisoned from the food. If there was no laws, like how long should I cook this chicken? I don't know. There's no law. There's no structure to it. Just throw it on the grill and take it off and take your chances. But no, there's actually a structure and a law to it. Economics, architecture, communities have laws and structures on how people interact. So does our spirit. There's spirituality and there's laws to the spirit. The Bible gives us many things that allow us to draw closer to God through the laws, the structure of spirituality that God has created. He says, if you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. When we seek God and we want to draw close to Him, He draws close to us. Well, that's a law. We can count on it. We can plan that that's the case. I'm setting aside time to pray and to seek God. Guess what? He's going to come and talk to me. It's a law. It's a rule. It's the way that He's made it, just like a law of gravity. So knowing these things allows us to make decisions that improve our lives. So we shouldn't run from laws. We shouldn't be upset that there's things trying to constrain us or there's boundaries. They're there for our benefit. And without them, our life would be chaos. And so I want you to take a minute and just journal on this idea and this thought. How is it stirring in your heart, this idea of laws and rules, structure? How do these things stir in your own heart? What are they stirring up in your mind? Are they triggering anything? Do you need to maybe relook and have a different perspective on some things in your life? Challenge you to do that, and then after a couple minutes we're going to break into these small huddles and we're going to have some discussion around this topic. There's some questions on the sheet you can use, or you can just kind of talk from your own experiences, but dive in, talk, encourage each other, and God bless you guys. Hey, thanks for being here. Have a great night.